is Joy News Prime.
This is Joy News Prime. My name is Israel. Coming up, government reaches firm agreement with 91 junior doctors to pay their salaries accumulated since they started working 11 months ago. Police to involve military and municipal authorities in investigations into Saturday's uncompleted building collapse near the president's residence at Cantonment here in Accra. We'll also bring you a report from the church where a man was arrested with a gun on Sunday in what is believed to have been an attempt to assassinate the president. Food and Drugs Authority shuts down 2 pharmaceutical warehouses as investigations continue into allegations the company was repackaging goods damaged in the June 3 floods for onward sale to the public. And National Media Commission unwavering on August 1 date for reintroduction of TV license fee, insisting all television set owners will have to pay whether they watch it or not. We also have business, sports and international news coming up in this 60-minute package, also available across Europe on ABN television. National Security has begun investigations into an incident where a 36-year-old man wielding a fully loaded gun was found at the Ringway branch of the Assemblies of God Church on Sunday in Accra. Communications Minister Dr. Edward Omaneboama in a statement confirmed the president was not in church when the incident occurred. The president and his family usually fellowship at this particular church, and the unnamed man allegedly went to the service specifically in search of the president. Now, Joy News' Hano Dami has been speaking with witnesses who say the man sat just behind the seats reserved for executives of the church as well as VIPs.
This man was sitting on the 4th row, on the seat, and he kept touching his pockets. So the gentleman sitting next to him, all this is reported speech because I was told, so it's allegedly. And this gentleman sitting next to him realized that he was uncomfortable, the gentleman who has been arrested. So he quickly told the security guard of the Chief Justice, and so he was called out, and when they searched him, they realized he had a gun, a locally manufactured gun on him, and it was loaded with 2 ounces of ammunition. Didn't know what he was going to use it for. Someone I met who claimed that he saw the statement that he had written for national security. He said he actually read it. Suggested that he said since President Kufuor, ex-President Kufuor left the presidency, he's always wanted to become a president. He feels the seat is for him, and so he's always wanted ways and means by which he can go to the castle to become the president of Ghana, and he failed in that one. When ex-President Mills, may his soul rest in peace, also came on, became the president, he wanted means and ways to tell him that this is my seat and I want it, but he didn't get the opportunity. Finally, when President Mahama became the president, he's always wanted ways and means by which you can get through to him. He didn't. Then he heard that he attends the Assemblies of God Church, Ring Road branch, so he went there and wanted to see the president to tell him the seat is for me, so I want it. Fortunately, we thank God that the president wasn't there, because we don't know what would have happened.
The National Media Commission says the August 1 date for the reintroduction of TV license fees will not be shifted despite calls for its suspension, adding that all television set owners will have to cooperate with the collectors. At a debate held on whether to pay the license or not, Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Major Albert Don Chebe, says the law requires all television set owners to pay whether or not they watch.
The debate organized by the Graphic Communications Group was to discuss the case for the resumption of the collection of TV license fees. Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Major Don Chebe, says the need to reintroduce the fees as legal binding and necessary to sustain the operations of the state broadcaster.
It is clear from some of the comments that there is some misunderstanding or lack of knowledge of the laws regulating TV receiving sets in Ghana. People make comments about laws which have existed since 1966 without making any effort to look for the law. The TV Licensing Act 1966, NLCD 89, as amended, is not new. And the TV license fee is not levied because a family watches GTV or any particular station's programs, as it is everywhere in the world. It is a license for installing or using a TV receiving set. Section 1(1) of the law is very precise and clear. It is not a new law and has not been smuggled into existence in 2015. The law has always existed.
Executive Secretary of the National Media Commission, George Sapon, says it is needless for private broadcasters to undermine the reintroduction of the TV license policy.
When some specific radio stations protest, it seems to me that they have a legitimate private interest because a bigger, efficient GBC cuts a bit into their market. It appears to me that protest and seeking to undermine the process is not the way to go. But for all of us to formally admit our bias and our interest in the debate and to put it on the table, for us to see what mechanisms or interventions are relevant or necessary or fair or objective to balance the market so that all of us can survive in it.
Meanwhile, Dr. Charles Rekubebe of the Ghana Institute for Policy Options is also calling for a suspension of the exercise to allow for more sensitization. He is also questioning the legal basis used to split the revenue amongst the various beneficiaries.
Great discussion, but let's go out there and talk to Ghanaians about it. Conversation has only just started, and we need to carry it on, and we need to clarify legally what the money can or cannot be used for. Should it go to GBC or should others benefit from it? We have said others should benefit from it. There's no law backing that.
Implementation is in 4 days. Would you say that it should be suspended for more public education?
It's my preference, but if it needs to be legally challenged, it shall be challenged. Because I don't think we've talked enough about it.
The collection of the fee will be largely electronic, but there will be annual payments in some selected rural areas, but only until the end of the year. All payment processes will be effective August 1. Matilda Pomaga, for Joy News, Accra.
Well, news just coming in is that there's been a fire incident somewhere at a Bosokan here in Accra. Derek Akosam is standing by to give us details on that. Good evening to you, Akko. Where exactly are you, and can you tell us what exactly is happening where you are?
Well, I'm at the side select lane of the Bosokan spare parts dealer. Said what I'm seeing is that 4 containers that are filled with car tires are on fire. And the fire is still raging. It started somewhere around 6:30 p.m. and I'm told that the personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service got here around 7 p.m., 30 minutes after the fire started. As I speak to you now, when I got here, there were 3 fire tenders here. 2 of them have gone back to refill their tanks and come back. The other one that is here apparently has also run out of water. And so the fire still rages on. But let me talk to an eyewitness here. You are live on Journey. Tell us, how did this all happen?
I was about, let me say, about like 20 minutes when I saw the fire there. So we were about 4 or 5 people, and we were saying, like, we were discussing, someone said it's the car, others said it's the baller. So we all ran to come and see when it came, but it was the tire that was burning. So we quickly went there, and about 4 to 5 containers have burnt already. And so we called fire service. We were extended around 6:30 there, but the fire service got here around 7 something. So I think the first one that came did well, and they called a second one to come, and he came to fill the first one with some water. But I learned the second one, the water is finished. The third car has come, the water too is finished, and it has gone. And the first one is still here, and we don't know what they are doing. And it's still, they did well. They've come down the fire, but still.
When it started, when the people who sell in there still working, is it a warehouse or the place where the people sell tires?
It's a place where the people sell tires.
So when it started, were they still working?
No. I think most of them are closed. Most of them have gone home.
Have you seen this corner around here?
I think 4 of them have come around. But this time around, I think about 10 or 15 people have come around. The owners, some are around. But when it was like, they don't want to talk to anybody because they are confused now. They don't know what to do.
Thank you very much. That's an eyewitness. So the fire still rages on. The personnel from the fire service are having a hard time dousing the fire, and it explodes intermittently because of the filled with tires. The whole area is up in smoke. You can see the sky turning black, and you can see fumes all around here, people holding their noses. There's been no casualty yet because there was nobody in the container, the 4 containers when the fire started. That is what I can say currently from where I am, Israel.
All right, thank you very much. That was Derek Akosam, and he's reporting from Abosukan, where we're told that there's a fire and about 4 containers filled with tires are currently on fire. The fire service is on the ground and is trying to put out the blaze. In other news, the Food and Drugs Authority has shut down 2 warehouses belonging to GB Pharma, a pharmaceutical company here in Accra. The warehouses, one at Tesano and another one on the Graphic Road, were closed. As part of investigations into allegations, the company was repackaging drugs destroyed in the June 3 floods for subsequent sale to the public. FDA officials were at the Tesano warehouse of GB Pharma on Monday as a follow-up to a raid Joy News learned occurred last Saturday, and which saw the arrest of 3 of the company's executives. It is alleged the company, after successfully claiming insurance for goods destroyed at its warehouse on the Graphic Road, shipped them out to Tesano to be dried out and repackaged for sale. Other products such as IV fluids were also said to have been washed and dispatched to distributors. The FDA officials will not comment on the operation, but sources say they were at the Tesano warehouse to sort out the pharmaceutical products that were completely damaged for subsequent incineration. Meanwhile, the principal pharmacist at GB Pharma, Henry Appiah, in an interview with Joy News' Fred Smith, concedes the company failed to follow due process in disposing of the products that were destroyed in the floods.
There was a flood basically, and our goods were affected. Yeah, so I was not around, but it was being sorted out when the security got involved. Basically, that is it. So we have brought Food and Drugs in to ensure that the bad was, the supervision in natural fact was required before the sorting, which we mistakenly failed to do. So it's now being sorted out. They are here, as you can see.
Yeah, I can see them. What are you going to do? Now I see the drugs being packed into one warehouse.
They are going to advise on which ones are good or bad. You understand? So whatever they say is bad is segregated, and then all will be thrown away under their supervision. It's a loss. It's a big, very, very big loss, but human life is more important than money.
How much do you estimate?
Well, I can only give a rough estimate, around maybe 200,000 or so. That's my rough estimate.
So what sort of drugs are these?
We have analgesics, some analgesics, some analgesics and antipyretics. We have antihelminthics. We have some antimalarials also.
Government has reached an agreement with junior doctors who picketed at the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department on Monday, demanding immediate release of their unpaid 11-month salaries. It was agreed after talks with leaders of the junior doctors. 64 of the 91 affected doctors will receive their salaries by Wednesday, whilst an interim arrangement is put in place for the rest until their processes are finalized.
The picketing doctors gathered at the premises of the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department in Accra well before the staff there started reporting to work. They had converged despite an assurance from government their monies will be paid this Friday.
We are very optimistic. Okay, it can be done. We believe that it can be done, and it can be done today and not in 2 weeks' time, because we have gone through all the requirements. We've done everything that we were asked to do. So basically, there's nothing stopping us. And the Deputy Finance Minister, if I'm right, came on radio and said that it is not an issue of finances. There is money there. The only problem is that systematic things. But we've done everything. So if they say there's money there and we've also done our part, then why can't we be paid today?
The dozens of Irish junior doctors from different hospitals across the country resolved not to leave until their salaries accumulated over the past 11 months are paid. They, however, backed down after a series of meetings between their leaders and the Ministries of Health, Employment and Labour Relations. Employment and Labour Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu, considered it had taken government too long to resolve the issue.
I'm aware that the controller and the Deputy Minister for Health have conveyed to you a decision on the fate of 64 house officers who will be paid this month, and who in fact the money should hit their accounts not later than Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. The monies are being released accordingly, and it was already part of the controller process of July payment. What is outstanding is in respect of some 27 other doctors, to which we have collectively agreed that Wednesday from 2 p.m. we will find a mechanism through their health institutions for them to receive some compensation, whilst Controller Accountant General finalizes the process for them to get their salaries and pay in August.
One of the leaders of the junior doctors, Nana Kisi Atefa, said they are trusting government to honor its word this time round, following countless failed promises.
As we've actually seen, the pay slips would be paid come the end of the month, and for the 27 of us, through Honorable's intervention, would be receiving the full 11-month salaries come Wednesday 2 o'clock at the various institutions. We have heard him, and then we believe this is the case. We have a memorandum of understanding to that effect, and we are hoping that come Wednesday all our grievances will be addressed. We trust what we have seen, and like we have always called for, we just needed something to be shown and something to be done as soon as possible. So I mean, we are reasonable people. We can wait till Wednesday 4:30 and expect, as Honorable have said, that all our 11 months arrears will be hitting everybody's account. And for the 27 of us who have not, who should be on the payroll from August, the agreement we have, we will get our full salaries for the 27 of us by Wednesday.
Some of the junior doctors were, however, unsatisfied with the outcome. The junior doctors maintain they will return to the Controller and Accountant General's department if government reneges on its promise.
Employment and Labour Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu has meanwhile assured government is taking steps to avert the recurrence of the situation where junior doctors are made to wait for months before receiving their salaries.
For us as government, it was not a temporary resolution of this matter which was our concern, but a permanent long-term resolution of it, because it's been perennial in character, seasonal in nature as doctors pass out, and accordingly the Controller Accountant General, working with officials of the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Employment and Ministry of Health, have concluded guidelines for placement of members of medical association into the mechanized payroll system, and that will solve this problem for good. And I'm proud to announce it that it's a major intervention that we will action in the coming days. We expect that house officers in the health sector who complete their medical school and have to serve their housemanship, the medical authorities, that is the institutions, will submit a list of the medical students who are due for housemanship at least 2 months before the completion of the medical school to the Ministry of Health. Health will then forward same to the Ministry of Finance for clearance and of the potential house officers, and Finance shall, within 2 weeks after receipt of the request from the Ministry of Health, issue that particular clearance from the Ministry of Finance. So the seasonal perennial problem where you get out of medical school and don't know when you are paid.
You're watching Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. The Pungrugu police have denied reports they beat up a 62-year-old man with hearing and speaking impairment. The farmer Sanan Najak, who hails from Jilika town near Bunkrugu, is said to have been attacked by police officers on his way from a farm for breaking curfew. His family is demanding justice and threatening a lawsuit against the police. His nephew Edmond Combat says his uncle's assault is just one of the many cases of brutalities meted out to residents by the police. He spoke on the Pulse.
And the curfew started at 4 p.m. So the police asked him that where is he going? It's 10 minutes to curfew and he's going out of town. He said, but he can't hear, neither can he speak. So he didn't understand what the police were saying before he realized it resulted in altercation. And the police pulled him down twice, started using the police stick, beating his ribs. After that, they sent him to the police cell, beat him, and locked him up. So we didn't know what was going on. Not knowing that when they did that, he vomited blood and collapsed in the prison cell. So it was after that that one of the police tipped the family members all that this was what was going on, and the guy was dead. So we became alarmed. That was when we got to know. We got to the police station. That was yesterday. After several calls, the district chief executive intervened and they released him. So we sent him to Nakanduri Hospital. And this was the first time. Apart from these two incidences, almost every day they are beating young ladies and men and old ladies in the village. And you ask yourself, if the police are supposed to go there and maintain law and order.
But in a quick rebuttal, the officer in charge of Bunkrugu Police Superintendent Dela Porte said that 62-year-old rather pelted the police with stones.
During the curfew hour, it was curfew hour, so they asked him to, why is it that he's still around during the curfew hour? So, in fact, they realized that it was somebody who cannot speak and they cannot hear. So it was through the sign language, and then they got to know that. But
officer, at the time they realized he couldn't speak, they had already beaten him up.
Okay, through their sign language, according to the police, through their sign language, they got to know that it is somebody who cannot speak, who cannot even hear. When you see somebody like that, I mean, the person may be out during the curfew hour for a purpose. So you ask. So you take him, you escort him home. You don't start beating, or they don't start beating. That is also the instruction. Only they are moving on.
The Cantonment District Police Commander, Mercy Brown, has confirmed there were 21 persons on site when a building collapsed at Cantonment on Saturday in the vicinity of the President's residence. Out of the number, 3 have been confirmed dead, 3 others have been treated and discharged, while 6 are still on admission at the hospital. Superintendent Brown, however, says investigations into the cause of the collapse will begin on Tuesday.
Only one person was present on admission at the police hospital, and he is Isaac Isuman. He had a multiple fracture on the right leg, and he's being managed at the hospital. However, the Simon Badasu, who was supposed to have been transferred to Kolebu, had left for Kolebu to be managed there. So as we speak, we have only one person at the police hospital and one person at the Kolebu teaching hospital. All other persons have been discharged except the deceased. This evening, my investigator is back after postmortem for Dr. Prosper Abala, the owner of the place at Kolebu. The family of late Prosper Abala have come here for names of those who are still on admission, that they need to reach them to provide for their upkeep. And they also took the names of those at the police hospital in Kolebu. We, the police at Cantonment, hope to begin a criminal investigation from tomorrow. We will have to involve, we are under law that they could to pong, so we will have to go to the Ladma Assembly. We would like to know if there is permit given for this construction. NADMO was there. We would like to confer with NADMO to see what they found at the site. The armed forces were there. We would also like to talk to them. And every other person that we need to talk to get necessary information to help us with investigations.
Now, some laborers who survived the building collapse returned to the site early on Monday, demanding their wages. The workers said they had been informed the secretary to the developer, who was also a victim, or who was a casualty, is holding on to the wages due them for previous work done. Edmond Ahoma, one of the laborers, first narrated circumstances leading to the collapse of the 3-story structure.
The pillar shake for the night, 12 o'clock. Friday. For the Friday. When we come Saturday, we see the pillar cry. We talk to the owner. The owner say one pillar no can fit fend the BD before work. So the owner say forbid that pillar to change different pillar to put that place. With the pillar we are choosing to put different pillar before you see the building collapse to go inside.
Where were you when the buildings were?
I'm in the dam before the building collapse, but I run first. I run come inside the building and before I go save different person for the under.
So how many people were in the building when it collapsed?
Let's say for the dam be 12 people. For the first floor, I don't know how many people were there. But the people go there, the first floor go there like 10 to 12. Let's say the one be the first person die. Before you come to say inside you see 2 people die. Yesterday, for Sunday.
Meanwhile, the Municipal Chief Executive for Lad Adekotopong, Rita Odole Sowa, has blamed the owner of the structure for the collapse, saying he failed to obtain a building permit from the Assembly.
Only one person was present on admission at the police hospital, and he is Isaac Isuman. He had a multiple fracture on the right leg.
Right, we do apologize. That was indeed not the Ladma people. Now, 2 people in other stories. 2 people have died and 3 others hospitalized in what neighbors believe may have been suffocation from fumes from a generator set overnight at Duase, close to Antwa in Kumase in the Ashanti region. A woman and a 3-year-old daughter have been confirmed dead, while 3 other members of the family, including a 5-month and 5-year-old boys and their father, are still in hospital. Neighbors say they broke into the family's room after they failed to wake up on time, only to find them unconscious. We're taking a break now. Up next, we bring you business with Abigail Adomakwenchi.
Business News is...
My name is Abigail Adomakwenchi. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board has raised concerns about the destruction of cocoa farms in the Ashanti region by their owners because of pest invasion and the fungal disease black pod. The farmers in the Ahafua North South and the Atrima in Wabiejat South districts are said to be cutting down the infected trees, claiming Cocoa Board has failed to make available chemicals to spray the farms. Cocoa Board, however, says it finds the farmers' claims surprising. Speaking earlier on News Today, Public Relations Officer Noah Amenya said adequate amounts of pesticides have been dispatched to all cocoa farming communities nationwide, including the 2 districts, and asked the affected farmers to contact their local authorities.
I'm surprised that a cocoa farmer will cut down a tree due to black pod or due to insect pests. The only reason for which they should cut down cocoa is when it is infected with the viral disease, that is cocoa stolen shoot virus disease. Black pod is treated with a fungicide, and Cocoa Board has distributed fungicides to the farmers. They've done the first spraying, and they are doing the second spraying. Actually, the second spraying is supposed to be done in August. They have received it now. Some have been given to the farmers directly, so that when they spot black pod, they can then call on the spraying team to come to their aid. So if there is an endemic situation or an outbreak, Cocoa Board is called on directly, and then the men are sent to the spot to go and evaluate and then treat that farm. So I'm surprised that the report is that due to cocoa trees are being cut.
So clearly you are unaware of this, but now that it has come to Cocoa Board's attention that farmers in Ahafua North South and also Atrima Wabiejat in the Ashanti region do not have these sprays and they are cutting down their trees, maybe because of ignorance, what are you going to do about that?
Yes, we'll quickly get our extension team in that district to go and evaluate the situation and see whether it is true that farmers are cutting down the trees due to black pod, or they are cutting down the trees because they have been asked to do so as a result of stolen shoot disease.
The Association of Ghana Industry is asking government to set up a 1 billion cedi stimulus fund to support local industries. President of AGI, James Asare, who was speaking at Heleba Business Excellence Awards, told Joy Business the fund is to serve as a rescue package for local businesses struggling as a result of the country's economic challenges.
AGI has always been talking about cost of credit in the country, which invariably affects cost of doing business. And here we are not only talking about the cost of credit, but we are even talking about the availability of credit. Apart from the fact that, you borrow at between 30 and 35%, you also have to contend with unavailability of this credit to the private sector. It is very worrying that at this point in time, even getting medium to long-term capital, which is really needed for industry to be able to expand, for industry to be able to retool, it's very, very challenging, for us as a country. We have always called for the need for the government not to crowd out the private sector in the domestic market as far as borrowing is concerned. And this has been our key issue. So Helaba Group, as a leading bank in Germany, has come at an opportune time, to extend credit particularly to small and medium-scale enterprises, where capacities, they will be able to build their capacities or be able to expand production outlay and launch into the export market. Association of Ghana Industries has persistently been calling on government to set up 1 billion Ghana cedi fund, what we call stimulus fund, to support local industries. You realize that the challenges are so many at this point in time, such that there's a need for a rescue package of a sort.
Still with Helaba Bank, and the bank is set to support small businesses in Ghana access credit with a fund of about 5 million euros. Director of Helaba, Jog Hartman, says the bank has also begun engaging local banks to assist SMEs with credit. The Helaba Business Excellence Awards 2014, an initiative by Helaba, a German commercial bank, is to award small businesses for their outstanding performance in the past year. Wilhelm Limited, Justmo and Joshua Construction Companies are among businesses awarded. Bank Director of Helaba, Jog Hartman, says the bank is in to support small businesses financially.
We are just analyzing a couple of countries in Africa who can do this kind of business. We started a couple of years ago with Ghana, and the good experiences we have had in Ghana, so we will try to do in other countries as well. So what is the minimum amount, for instance? So we're starting with 3 to 5 million euros at the minimum amount. And if you go in the smaller amounts, which is very often needed, so then we try to work together with the Ghanaian banks or with banks in other emerging market countries. And that's what we are doing these days. We are discussing with a couple of Ghanaian banks how they can support this kind of financings, this kind of structures, and to support medium-sized companies, smaller companies to buy or to sell to Ghana.
Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Kwaku Rekithagen, applauded Helaba's initiative, adding the move was a sign of economic resilience.
We have, in the last few years, received a lot of investment in the energy sector, infrastructure, transport, logistics, port expansion, aviation, and many other sectors in the economy. It is therefore welcome to know that we are also receiving considerable amount of investment in SMEs, which, as we all know, is the engine of the economy and engine of growth. Today's event is an example of such investment. It shows the confidence that international investors and businesses like Helaba have in the Ghanaian economy.
President of the Association of Ghana Industries, James Asare J, also commended Helaba for coming to the aid of SMEs who continue to battle with access to credit following the high interest rates by financial institutions. A female customer of the Sunyai branch of EcoBank Ghana Limited caused extensive damage to property after she accidentally ran her car into the banking hall, smashing down the glass frontage of the bank. Eyewitnesses say the woman, who was driving a red Toyota Camry who mistakenly stepped on the accelerator pedal whilst parking to enter the facility to transact business. The accident happened at a time when there was not much activity in the banking hall. It is, however, unclear if any staff member or customer got injured in the accident. That'll be all for business. My name is Abigail Adomakwintri. Sports is up next.
The sports segment is brought to you by
sports, but still to come in the bulletin, the lawyer who defended or who defended or prosecuted or fought the legal battle for the NPP during the election petition. Well, he's making some allegations, some allegations against the flag bearer, against the party chairman and general secretary, and we have that coming up later on. But right now,
we'll have to go straight to sports right now.
Take away the sports.
And talk about who is moving. I'm wondering where you'll be moving to because all the players are moving. Transfer season,
right here.
Now let's quickly do some sports now, and then we'll start with Black Stars coach Avram Grant, and he's confident of Ghana's chances of qualifying for the 2018 World Cup in Russia after the draw for the competition was held over the weekend. The Black Stars will face the winner of the match between Comoros and Lesotho in November. The 26 lowest-ranked African sides will play each other in a two-leg ties, after which 13 winners in 27 other countries will compete in double ties, with winners progressing to the group stage of the African qualifiers. Grant is confident of a fourth World Cup berth for the Black Stars.
I think the system in Africa is a little bit, for me it's new. So we know only the first game, and then we know that we will go to the group stages. In any case, I think in Africa, all the group stages will be very difficult because I think it's a continent with a lot of good teams, and only less than 10% are qualified. If you compare to South America, that 50% of the teams are qualified, or in Europe, I think almost 30. So in any case, it will be difficult, but we have a good team.
It looks very much like the next season for the English Premier League will be very exciting for Ghanaians, because most of the Black Stars players are getting into that. We have another who's just recorded that. And Black Star striker Jordan Ayew has joined his elder brother Andre Ayew in the Premier League after signing for Aston Villa. The English Premier League side have Jordan on a 5-year deal for an undisclosed fee. The 23-year-old, who joins from French side Laurent, has become a direct replacement for Belgian striker Christian Benteke, who joined Liverpool for £32.5 million. So Jordan Ayew with Aston Villa, Dede Ayew with Swansea City. We're hearing Ajiman Bedu is also hoping to firm up a move there with Stoke City. We know that Christian Achu is with FC Bournemouth as well, and quite interesting with the man Jeffrey Schlupp also with Leicester City. So it's looking quite interesting out there. Now let's do some more with transfers, and Suleiman Tari has joined Al Ittihad of Saudi Arabia on a 2-year deal. The 30-year-old was available on free transfer after terminating his contract with AC Milan at the end of the season. Muntari is one of 2 players to have featured in all Ghana's 3 World Cup appearances, but is ineligible to play in the Black Stars team due to an unresolved issue of indiscipline at the Brazil 2014 World Cup. Meanwhile, Joy Sports sources in the Middle East indicate that the former Inter Milan player could earn over €6 million a year. Muntari won the 2010 UEFA Champions League with Inter Milan, having played for Udinese, Portsmouth, Sunderland, and recently for AC Milan. So it's all about the cash, really. Samoa Jan in China, Suleiman Tari in Saudi Arabia. I'm wondering where next another player will be moving to. But it's a transfer market, getting feisty as it goes, and pretty interesting. Now, former Nigerian coach Stephen Keshi has demanded $5 million compensation from the Nigerian Football Federation for his dismissal from the job. Keshi was sacked at the start of July and has been replaced by Sunday Olise. He has written to the NFF through his lawyers, demanding the money, claiming damages for defamation.
National coach Stephen Keshi is seeking $5 million in compensation from the Nigeria Football Federation. Keshi was sacked as Super Eagles coach earlier this month, shortly after his name appeared on the shortlist for the then vacant job to lead African champions Ivory Coast. The Nigerian Federation responded by saying he lacked the required commitment necessary for the job. Keshi is reportedly unhappy with comments made by the Federation's disciplinary committee and is claiming damages for defamation.
Very difficult times when we talk about the African Champions League and Confederations Cup. First of all, with Harrison Affle's Esperance, loads of issues for them out there as they lost their 3rd consecutive game there. But now time to get into the Champions League, and the Tente Sitef, who are holders, were held to a draw.
Well, let's turn to club matters now, as it's the halfway point of the group stage of the African Champions League. And the title holders, Entente Setif of Algeria, are struggling. After drawing at home to Sudan's Al Maraik over the weekend, they are now 5 points adrift of leaders USM Alger, who beat Mouloudia El Ouma. That's Group B. Group A is much tighter. Only the number of goals scored separate the top two, after Congolese side TP Mazembe beat Smuha in Egypt this weekend to catch up with Sudan's Al Hilal, who drew away to Morocco's Maghreb Tatouan. The group stages end in September, when the top two in each group will be going into the semi-finals.
I wish aspirants the best of luck as they go into all of this. That'll be it for sports tonight. I'm George Adler Jr. Israel will join us with some more. You have a good night.
The sports segment.
Before I bring you the international news, Korle Klotsi parliamentary aspirant Philip Adesing is accusing NPP National Chairman Paul Afoko and General Secretary Kwabena Ejapong of working against the presidential bid of flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo. Mr. Adesing, who was a lead lawyer for the New Patriotic Party during the landmark election petition, made the comments in an interview with Joy News' Kwache Afrenioma.
There's a perception out there that they are working against the presidential candidate, and it is a very strong perception. The burden is on them to discharge that perception. I've already said this before, and I'm saying it again. But it's a very strong perception that they are working against the presidential candidate. And so, the ball is in their court to prove otherwise. This is a presidential candidate who was elected with 94% plus. Solid support in the party. So, one cannot understand why there should be opposition to the presidential candidate. But there's a strong perception now.
Are you part of those who hold that perception?
Yes, from everything that is happening.
What makes you think Afoko and Kwabena Ejapong are working against the president?
Well, there are so many issues. Once again, this is not the appropriate time for me to come out publicly and say so many things. But I have said that there's a perception out there. I'm sure that's what you said yourself, that there is that perception. And so we all know that there is something going on. I do not want to talk about it.
And how could this affect the party in 2016?
Oh, but already people are saying there's confusion in the party. That is how it affects the party. When it gives the impression there's some kind of confusion in the party, people are fighting themselves and so on. That is not the best. It gives a very wrong picture to people outside.
Up next, we bring you international news. All right, that'll be all for the bulletin. Before we go a quick run through our top stories, government has reached a firm agreement with 91 junior doctors to pay their salaries accumulated since they started working 11 months ago. The police will be involving the military and municipal authorities in investigations into Saturday's uncompleted building collapse near the president's residence at Cantonment here in Accra. We also brought you a report from a church where a gunman was arrested on Sunday in what is believed to have been an attempt to assassinate the president. The Food and Drugs Authority has shut down 2 pharmaceutical warehouses as investigations continue into allegations the company was repackaging goods damaged in the June 3 flood for onward sale to the public. And the National Media Commission is unwavering on its August 1 date for reintroduction of the TV license, insisting all television set owners will have to pay whether they watch it or not. All right, so it's been 20 years since Joy FM was established. Joy FM, the station that eventually gave birth to all the units within the multimedia group. And yesterday we had a wonderful church service at the International Central Gospel Church, and my colleagues and staff members were dressed in the anniversary cloth. I'm leaving you with some sounds or with some sights or some of the styles that were on display yesterday. Of course, starting with my selfie with the Reverend Otabil.
This is Joy News Prime.